Boy, this is a great example of cut your own firewood, and it'll heat you twice. Hey YouTube, Joe Bassett for Valiant Outfitters. I'm back out in the woods this week, and I was out to harvest some fatwood. I've done some videos on fatwood before, and you know how much I love it, especially living here in the south where it's so plentiful. But I wanted to show you how I harvest it and also a little bit how to process it. You look at this this bright tree back here behind me that's out in the sun. So if you look up there at the top of that, you can see that it died and it snapped off, as pine trees do a lot here. Looks like the woodpeckers got to this one pretty hard. But what I'm doing is I'm cutting into it. I'm going to cut down this standing dead. And I wish that I had smell-o-vision, because if you take my my saw here and you smell it, the sap that's in there, that turpentine smell, it's so strong it almost smells like gasoline. So I'm going to finish cutting this down, and I'm going to harvest some out of it, and I'm going to show you how I process it. Now, while I keep trying to cut through this, that smell is even just coming out of the tree right now. And you might be able to hear, every once in a while, my saw squeaks. That's letting me know that that stuff is in there. That sap has collected real well in this, so this could be a gold mine. So here's a trick for you. I could make a wedge out of some wood. Or what I'm doing here is I'm just taking my bushcraft knife and I'm going to wedge that in to help push the tree this way. The other thing that will do for me is it'll keep it from binding up and pinching my saw. Of course, if I had an axe, that would make an even more effective wedge. But this little Garberg from Morkneve, that's working just fine as a wedge. Yep, definitely fatwood in there. So now I'm just using the old stump as a buck. I'm going to buck off a slice of this. And once I've bucked this off, I'll be able to come in here and baton off sections of it and process it down into some slabs of fatwood. Now fight the urge to try to pry it by taking your knife and wiggle it back and forth. This is very dense in here, and that'll grab a hold of that knife and you'll break that blade faster than anybody's business. But you're safe as long as you keep batoning straight down in. Oh yeah, you can smell it in there. It's not very amber right now because of all the sawdust that's on it. Get some good fatwood out of that. Nice fire starter. And I'll show you how we process it down to get a fire going with just our ferro rod. So I've brought my slab of fatwood, of that pine that I found back here to the backyard base camp, and I'm processing it down. I've already started. I want to show you a technique that you can use even if you have only a smaller knife. You don't need a big axe to process this down. Even though it won't go all the way through, you can baton sections off and gradually work your way down to that fatwood. The neat thing about this is you also are creating kindling that you can use in starting your fire as well. I've already started some here, but I want to show you here on the round section. I'm just going to shave off edges of that. I'm going to baton down in. And I'm just going to start taking shavings off of that. Spin it a little bit, and I want to make these sharp peaks here that I'm going to come back to later on. Now if you get down in here and it doesn't slice all the way through, you can remove your knife. Now I would only do this with a full tang. This Morknief Garberg full tang. I wouldn't try to do this with anything, especially with a smaller knife. But I can baton down in vertically. So I'm going to keep working at this, and I'm going to come back to you when I've gotten all the way down to that fatwood. So you can see I've processed down to some pieces of fatwood here. In particular, what I'm looking for are these amber colored sections. And I'm going to take the 90-degree spine of my knife, and I'm going to make shavings, little fuzzy shavings. Just going to take the back of the blade and scrape those shavings off every once in a while. I might need to pull them off with my hand. It's going to be sticky because of this rosin, this sap that's in here. And it's volatile stuff, so it's going to take a spark really well to get to flame. And after I make a pile of that, about the size of a half to a silver dollar in diameter, I want to also get some shavings. Now this is similar to making a feather stick, but because this is so dense and it has that rosin in it, it's not going to really feather, but I want to get some of those curly cues. Like what I'd get when I'm working on my feather stick and I go a little bit too far. Now, of course, if I was going to be starting a real fire here, I'd have everything staged. I'd have not just my tinder, but I'd also have kindling ready to go, and I'd also have my fuel wood ready to go. But for this demonstration, I'm just going to get a little bit of flame going here. Again, I'm going to use the back of my knife, that good 90-degree edge that I have there in my ferro rod. For this technique, I'm going to lock that knife in there, and I want to pull the ferro rod back, because if I move the knife, then I might bump into my tinder bundle, and I want to avoid that. And there we have it. Look at all that smoke coming off there. That's all that rosin that's in there. Looks a bit windy today. Didn't notice this much wind earlier. But then I could put my kindling on top of that and build that fire as I need to. It's Joe Bassett for Valiant Outfitters. Hope you've enjoyed this video, another Wilderness Wednesday, about getting to some fatwood, finding it out there and processing it down, get your fire started. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. And please subscribe so you see every time we come out with another video that's going to be helpful to you, whether you're backpacking, camping, or bushcrafting.